Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello everybody. Today's vid, everybody, is entitled, Does Music Really Mean Anything Anymore? And this is something that kind of like popped into my head maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I was nattering away with Queenie and a family, and we were talking about like how music these days is kind of very... It's been very kind of, what's the word? Or cheapened, if you will. It's not exactly quite the right word. But music has been cheapened very in recent times. Oh, this is why it came up. We were watching the Supersonic documentary on Oasis. And Noel says something in that documentary about like how... in the 90s, one of the biggest things to happen was a working class band from Manchester. Because, in that documentary, if you've not seen it, Oasis were in the news. They were actually getting reported in the news. When was the last time you heard about a band getting reported about in the news? Not for just all the bad stuff they did, with Liam doing whatever he did or Noel doing whatever he did. But for, things like Nebworth and for stuff like, their battle against Blur for the #1 spot and stuff like that. And... the question just kind of dawned on me. It's like, does music mean as much as it does now as it did back then? And I don't feel it does. Not for everyone, of course. I mean, this isn't kind of like saying everyone takes music for granted, because they definitely don't. And I know a lot of you out there don't. But but has music been cheapened down to the point of it, because it's so accessible, it's everywhere, you can just get it, and the mass music today is just cookie-cutter music for the masses. It's not really anything. It's just, if you poured water on it, it'd wash away. There's no substance to it. So I do feel that music has been cheapened. I feel the music industry is very, very broken now. I mean, it's always been a very kind of bitter and twisted place, if you will. But I feel now more than ever that the music industry is totally... messed up. It definitely doesn't feel good in any way, shape or form. It's a real mess, and I do feel music doesn't mean as much to people as it used to. People of the tube, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this, because I'd be very curious to know what you think. With the advent of things like Spotify and also iTunes, and also the advent of reality TV and celebrity-driven culture, and stuff like that, music has been very kind of neglected and pushed back, I feel, to kind of it's just a thing, that people have. They don't really... a lot of people, I would say, don't really fully get involved and immersed in it. It's just more a sound track to them going around, with MP3s. I hate the sound of MP3. I don't know if anybody else has that, but I find MP3s to they gut the song. They get rid of all the harmonics and all the dynamics and the depth of the song. MP3 just destroy that and make it this bright fizzy nothing, yet people go around listening to it on their headphones, and if that's what people think is good, it's like, or do they just not care of how the quality of it, I don't know, people tube. Being obviously, music is my life. That is my life. That is my job. Thanks to you lot out there, I wouldn't be able to do this without you. But because music is my life and my job and everything that I want out of life, when I see videos on the album is dead and it's all about singles now, and your single has to be 2.5 minutes or it won't get anywhere, and if you're not this and you're not that and you don't look like this and you don't look like that and you're not that, and it in all fairness, people, it's getting me down, because I don't think it's right that music should be treated on these grounds, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree, but because people won't buy albums anymore. This is one of the things I think we have to be really worried about. I love buying albums. Me and Queenie were talking yesterday, and I was saying I remember going to local record shops and just going around, spending about an hour or so in there, just looking around, seeing if there's anything that would appeal to me. And oops, I paused up my phone. And I always remember being so excited to get it home and put the CD on or the tape on, or my gravy lords. I do apologise, people of the tube. I'm just gonna shut that up and put it down there. But yeah, I always remember that kind of thing, and it was just like, it was so exciting to get that CD or that tape or that record home and get it out, and then that's just play it and just get lost in it, you know. And I feel that like not a lot of people do that anymore because it's all about the singles. I used to love putting albums on and listening to the whole thing front to back. I remember when I bought Stadium Arcadium for the first time when it came out. Me and my brother drove me down to Woolworths, which unfortunate thing. I used to love going to Woolworths. It was amazing. Drove down to Woolworths in Louth town, and I went in, bought the CD, came home, and what me and my brother did is basically we sat in the front room and put disc 1 in, listened to it front to back, loved it, talked about it, put disc 2 on, loved it, talked about it, and then we played it again, and it was amazing. Then my sister came in to listen to it, and when she came back, where she would have been, and it was just, I love doing that. I remember buying Jerry Control's second solo album, Degradation Trip, and I didn't know much about Jerry, really, to be honest. I just know I liked him because I'd recently just got into Alice in Chains, and I went into a local record shop, and they had Degradation Trip, and I was like, oh, Jerry Control, cool, awesome. And I got home, and I just remember listening to that album front to back, and I was just like, oh my god, some songs didn't connect as much as some others, but then some songs really did connect. So it's like, ah! And I like that feeling of like putting an album on because you don't know what's coming next, you know, and the song after the song after the song could change your life. You know, I remember listening to Pearl Jam 10 for the first time, and Once came on. I was like, that's really cool. And Even Flow, yeah, that's really cool. Alive, that's really cool. And then Why Go, awesome. And then Black, oh my god. That song just went inside. I had to wait 5 songs for that song. And I feel that a lot of people these days won't do that anymore. They won't go out and buy albums because it's not the thing to do anymore. The thing to do these days is to kind of like just download a single song and not give anything else a chance. And that really terrifies me because I feel it's just kind of like, well, wrong. It's not how I think you should be absorbing music. I always, you know, again, I'm from the album world though, people of the tube, so, you know, I'm probably outdated in the way I think now. But what do you think, people of the tube? What do you think about this? You know, do you feel music means as much now as it used to? You know, because you don't see people going around talking about albums. You don't see people going around listening to full albums really anymore. You know, not everyone, of course. You know, there's still people, you know, who do that. You know, I still do that. I know quite a few people who still do that, and I'm sure quite a lot of you out there do as well. You know, but a lot of people don't. And I think we do have to be a bit worried about that. And that's something that Noel says in the Supersonic documentary. He said, like, you know, I think it was, you know, it was the last kind of like thing of that kind of thing, that music thing, before the internet age came along. You know, Oasis was probably the last. You know, how many British bands since Oasis have been spoke about in the news or had so much written about them and had such a reputation? Because I was trying to think about this the other night. People, let us know if anything comes to your mind. Because I could think of like, there's like Muse, there's Radiohead, but none of them reached the heights of Oasis. You know, none of those bands have reached the heights of Oasis. I mean, you could say Muse have probably got the closest because they're a stadium band. But Matt Bellamy's not in the newspaper for doing something stupid or doing a mass capacity gig where 3% of the entire UK's population have applied for tickets, like Nebworth. You know, it's insane, and it just got me thinking, and it really worries me of, like, you know, the future of music, really, because if music is going to be dumbed down to literally just singles, and that's the way people are meant to consume music, then, or just EPs, then I just kind of feel that's kind of like, it can't go anywhere. You know, I love doing albums. I like to be able to kind of like make an album of like, say, 10 songs and create a journey for people to go on. I like that idea. I like the idea of kind of like, you know, you start at one place and you end up at another, and in between you got all these things. And I just feel like that's a bit kind of archaic now. And the fact that I think that, I don't like that either. It kind of, well, doesn't kind of, it really upsets me, to be perfectly honest. Because let's face it, album sales are nil. You know, you hear about, you know, hear these bigger bands who have music everywhere, and no one buys albums anymore. They'll buy a song that they've heard that they like, and they won't give any of the others a chance. You know, and that to me is a no-no. You know, I remember like hearing like one song from a band and going, right, I need to get the album that's off because I don't... Candlebox was a good example of this one. When I heard You by Candlebox, which is one of my favourite songs of all time, I had to get the album. So I went out and I got the album Candlebox, their first album with You on it. And literally, to me, that's a flawless album. I love every song on that album. But I wouldn't have known about Don't You, or Rain, or any of the other songs on there, you know, Far Behind, Cover Me. I wouldn't know of any of those songs if I hadn't gone out and got the album. If I just went, I'm just going to download You, the song You by Candlebox, then you're not really investing in the band. You're not really helping them, and you're not really helping you, in my opinion, because you're kind of like, you're stifling yourself of really good music, and I just feel it's a bit dumb. But again, I do come from a different world to what the world is now, people chat. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. But I really just, I don't know, I really fear for it. And I fear for upcoming bands, you know, mine included, that you will never have the opportunities that our peers have had. You know, like for instance, people like Noel Gallagher or Matt Bellamy or whoever, you know, we will never have those opportunities because you have to be a certain way in this day and age. If you're not this, then forget it. If you don't look like this, forget it. Music is more exclusive now than I feel it ever has been. Because, you know, you always had a back door to get into. You know, you think of like, you know, the punks in the 70s, you know, Jimi Hendrix in the 60s, Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains in the 80s and then the 90s, and then you got Oasis. You know, you've got all these bands that just kind of enter through the back door, if you will, and kind of upset the party and make it all of a sudden something totally different. And there's also a lack of scene as well. There's no real music scene anymore, especially not in the UK, I don't feel. You know, you always hear, like, there was the grunge scene, there was the Britpop scene, there was the hair metal scene, the LA rock scene, you know, the British blues scene, prog rock, glam rock. These were all scenes. These days you don't have anything like that. It's all gone. And I feel this is mainly down to, like, you know, reality TV shows like stuff like The X Factor, which is just garbage in my opinion. And that has gone a long way to ruining music in my personal opinion. And it's cheapened it to literally the cheapest common denominator, where people now, a lot of people now, I know it's not you people with YouTube, will just take music for granted, and they don't see why they should have to pay for it. They want everything for free. You know, I just want music for free. I don't, you know, hence they go to places like Spotify. This is why I boycott Spotify and iTunes. I don't want my music on there because those companies are not interested in you, the artist, or you, the customer, or promoting you or anything like that. They just want your money. And they will take it in any way, shape or form they can. And I think they are a virus to the music industry. They are a virus to music in general. You know, and they're all in the pockets of each other as well. The music industry, the record labels, they're all cashing in hand. I actually had a dream, people of the tube, not so long ago. And it was quite apt. And I feel this is kind of like a visual kind of thing of how the music industry is today. I remember I was in this massive multi-story building. It was just loads of buildings. It's like a big high-rise building. And for some reason, I mean, I just associate music industry going down with people like Simon Cowell. He's the kind of person who has spearheaded this movement to ruin it and to cheapen it and to make it appear something get it in. Anyway, he was in a room across from me, and there was this kind of like hallway in front of me, and I was in like a storage room. I was kind of back in this storage room, and he was across the room from me, and he had a laptop and a microphone set up. He had the pop stop on it and everything, condenser mic, and outside of a room, if you came out of that room that Simon was in and you went left and then left again, you'd go down a stairwell. So every now and again, up that stairwell was led a person. And as they walked past me, they said, I'm going to be the next big thing. Went in the room, the door shut, you heard them sing, door opened, and they left dejected. And then the next person came, and the door shut, left dejected. It was just this weird pattern. It was in my dream, and I remember it being so sad. Because like, all these people are used for that one thing, and once that one thing's dried up, get out. We're not going to nurture you to actually follow your own path and your own roots. We're just going to actually use you for what we want you for, and once that's done, once that's exhausted, get out. We don't care about you anymore, and unless you're extremely lucky. And extremely lucky is the word. But I don't know, people. I really don't know where the world of music is heading. All I know is I fear for its life. I fear for the longevity of it. I fear for upcoming bands. I fear for upcoming musicians. I just don't think we'll have the opportunities to do anything. We won't have the opportunities to go on tour or make a living out of music the way our peers did. And, we won't have a chance to just live that life, of being a creative, because it's just not catered for in the world anymore. People don't, I personally, like I say, I don't feel that everybody values music the way they should. And can you imagine life without music? I mean, I know it's a cliche line to say, but can you imagine life without music? Imagine if it wasn't there. Imagine if that was taken away and all of a sudden, no more music. Dull life, very dull. I really do feel that music is the key to everything. It's the key to solving all sorts of problems, not only kind of like, in yourself, but with others as well. I mean, I always, when I try and play the guitar, I always try and play something that means something. If it doesn't mean anything when I play it, then I'm going to do it again. It has to mean something. And that kind of thinking isn't in the music industry anymore. It's just not used that way. It's simply, how can we make the most money off this? It's not like, can we help people or can we change somebody's life? And again, come back to Noel Gallagher. He actually said something a while back. He was saying, like, people are more than willing to go into a coffee shop and spend £4, £5, £6, £7 on a coffee or whatever, but they won't go out and spend it on an album that could change their life. And he's so right. I mean, if I think back to my life, my entire life, there's so much music that's kind of sculpted my life and has been there as a soundtrack for certain moments. So when I put that back on again, I am taken back to that time, whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever. And I'm sure a lot of you are the same, people with Tube. You can really feel it. You really get absorbed and taken back to that time. And it's one of the most gorgeous things about music. It really helps you remember and helps you forget and helps you get through and helps you get by and helps you kind of when you're sad. And it's just incredibly important. And I hate the idea that all these companies can come in and just go, oh, this is really important, but let's get rid of all the integrity and just leave a shell. It's just like big words. It really is. It makes me angry. It really gets on my nerves. Because I'm just like, no, this is something that lots of people love. And all you care about is making money off it. And how to exploit younger people into going, you can sing this. What we'll do is we'll mould you in the way we want you to, kick you out the door, make you do a couple of singles. Once they're a hit, we'll kick you out the other door, back into the street. And it's just like, it's a meat grinder. And it just gets on my nerves. And there is none of that kind of thing of like, back in the day where like, yes, you always owed record company money, but they would stand behind you and they would nurture you and give you the opportunities. You hear of Thin Lizzy. When Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson joined Thin Lizzy, they had their albums Nightlife and Fighting. Those two albums didn't do very well. And they were up against it because the record company said, look, you got a 3-album deal, lads. If this album doesn't hit, then if you haven't got a hit single off this album, then we're going to have to drop you. And that gave you an opportunity to develop as a band. Because you had 2 albums to develop. You were out on tour to develop. You know, you were living together, developing this idea. And then 3rd album, Jailbreak, comes out. You got Boys Back in Town, and that's that. You know what I mean? Same as Def Leppard. Def Leppard, first 2 albums did all right, but nothing amazing. It did really, really well in America. And then Hysteria comes out, and boom, the world. You know, because they had time to develop. Van Halen were another one. You know, they developed over time. You know, they had album deals, and they had the opportunity and freedom and creative freedom to develop this idea. I remember my friend Ian talking to me about that. Like, you know, his record company that he was signed to back in the 80s, he said they really put a lot of money behind his band to kind of like get them on tours, get for album sales, get a promotion, stuff like that. They put a lot of money into them. That isn't the case anymore. You know, record companies don't do that anymore to unknown bands, unsigned bands. They want to know you're a hit before they'll invest money in you, because they know they can just get somebody else. And again, with the celebrity-driven culture of the day, you know, with kind of like, you know, everyone kind of like vying to kind of be like, you know, like a certain level of fame and wanting to be known for basically nothing most of the time. It's just there's a copious amounts of people they can manipulate into doing that. They can just they could just knock on the door of anybody. It's like, do you want to be famous for a day? Yeah, and they'll say yes. And it's like, no, it's all about integrity. You need to maintain integrity. And music in this day and age, I don't feel is doing that, because it's been cheapened by the corporations and things like iTunes and Spotify. Yes, they're a good thing for you to listen to music to, but it doesn't support the artists. And if you don't support artists, they die off, because they can't afford to do what they do. And if they die off, there's no more music. There's no more Jimi Hendrix. There's no more Eric Clapton. There's no more Bon Jovi or Def Leppard or Jimi Hendrix or Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've said Jimi Hendrix twice. It's worth saying twice. You know, especially Jimi Hendrix, actually, because that's really important. Jimi Hendrix is just killing Jimmy. She's killing his legacy. She's killing everything about what Jimmy did, because she won't let it out, and her reasons for doing that are totally wrong, because she just wants money, and unless you pay for it, she doesn't want it. Jimmy wouldn't have done that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm not talking about that today. But it's just, it needs to mean something again. And like I say, I know to a lot of people out there, you are watching PeopleTube, that it means a lot to you. Like it means everything to me. But it doesn't mean everything to people in the world sometimes. It's just, oh, that's a new single, I'm supposed to like it, so I like it. You're allowed to not like things. You don't have to like it just because some company says it's the best thing in the world. You know, you're allowed to go, oh, I can't stand that. I actually hate that. You know, there's plenty of music I hate, and I'll happily say I hate that. You know, don't like it because you think you're supposed to. And there's too much of that. There's too much of this kind of like, you know, you've got to be a certain way. And people are almost afraid these days, I feel, to kind of be a misfit. And I don't think that's I think being a misfit's a good thing, because it gives you your own personality, and then it's you. It's not anybody else. You know, instead of trying to be somebody else, be yourself. That Kurt Cobain quote, being somebody else is a waste of who you are. Exactly. I mean, that's not verbatim, but that's basically what he said. And music means the world to me, and I can't hack seeing it being neglected the way it's been neglected. It's almost more than I can actually bear, to be perfectly honest with you, people who tune. It's really hard to just sit back and watch what's going on. And yeah, I'll go gigging, and I'll see a band I'm playing with that deserves a chance at recording an album, and that album being released, and people hearing that album worldwide and just being given that opportunity. And it's not there. It's not there. Unless you've got money to start with, forget it. And in that Oasis documentary, I think about it, and I think if they were coming up now, if Oasis were around now, you would never hear of them. You would never hear Live Forever. You'd never hear Don't Look Back in Anger or Wonderwall or anything like that. And how many people's lives has those songs changed? How many people's lives have that band changed? Again, when they did Nebworth, 3% of a population applied for tickets. 3%. That's insane. Would you get that now? Not in a million years. A working class band headlining somewhere like Nebworth and 3% of the population comes up to see them? Never happen. Will it happen again? We can hope. But not for a while. It's closed. Music is closed, but it really feels like that, people have achieved. It feels like... I don't know. I really don't know. Like I say, I'm getting worked up. But does music mean anything anymore? To some people, yes. To others, absolutely not. When I feel like, if I think back in the day, music meant everything to everybody. People always liked what they liked. People like disco, they liked rock, they liked metal, they liked prog rock, they liked pop, they liked R&B, whatever. And they cared about what they liked. These days people are almost told what to care about and what to like, and it's just not the way it should be, in my opinion. The individuality has been just stripped away, and it's just left this bland, boring, dull, cookie-cutter music for the masses that's just kind of regurgitated out of the throat of big corporations every 5 days. Here's the next new big thing. Oh, and they've gone. Here's the next new big thing. And they've gone. Here's the next new big thing. You'd never have a band like Nirvana that would change the world, or the Sex Pistols, or Jimi Hendrix, or like say, or anybody like that, or Oasis, or anybody like that. You'd never have a band like that in this day and age. You can't have a band like that in this day and age. I mean, bands are kind of like almost like a non thing. It's all about the solo artists these days. I can't hack it, people to be honest with you. It breaks my heart. Every day I wake up and I think about this, and it breaks my heart. Album sales, 0. Do people care? No. Most people don't. It's not everyone. I know it's not everyone who doesn't, but a lot of people don't care. They don't. They just want it easy. Like, oh, I like that song, so I'm just going to download that. Well, do you want to hear the rest of the album? No. And if the song isn't 2 minutes 30, forget it. Because that's the attention span. My God. I don't know. Some very big questions are going to have to be asked, people of Tube, about this situation we find ourselves in with music and everything, because it's very, very, very dangerous. I personally feel it's just, I fear for the future of music. I really do. I fear for it and where it's going to end up if something isn't done, because there's always been a cycle. In the 60s you had pop stuff that was eventually taken over by people like Jimi Hendrix, and Cream and Pink Floyd. And then the 70s came along and you had the disco stuff and stuff like that. And then eventually that was taken over by, bands like Thin Lizzy. And then you got prog stuff that came in. That was popular. And then in the 80s you had hair metal and LA rock and stuff like that. And then eventually that was wiped off the face of the... Well, not wiped off the face of the earth, but wiped kind of almost out. Moved, shall we say, by bands like Nirvana and Alice in Chains. Grunge came in. And then you also have Britpop that came in. And then, and then new metal. And there's nothing like that anymore. There's no scenes. There's none of that. It's just the same old regurgitated garbage we heard last year. Just with some other idiot singing it. Who doesn't know their value as an artist. You know, they're not interested in growing as an artist. They're just, I don't know, they're either interested in just want fame or fortune, or they actually do care about music, but they just don't care how they get where they are. And I think that sets a dangerous precedent for people who, like, you know, you need to maintain integrity with these kind of things. You can't let people walk all over you just because. Anyway, PeopleTube, let me know what your thoughts are in this comment section below. Let me know what you think. I mean, I say this is just all my own opinion. Like I say, I'm not talking on behalf of anybody but myself. But I really do feel that music just doesn't mean as much as it used to people. Not saying everyone. Like I say, I'm going to reiterate that a couple of times. I'm not saying that everybody feels that way about music and just passes it off like it's a nothing. Because I know a lot of people still it means the world to them, like it does me. And like I say, all you out there, I know it does. Because, you know, you wouldn't be here otherwise. You know, music means everything to us. And to kind of like, and to be like kind of, it could be whittled away, and can't stand back and watch that without doing something. You know what I mean? I don't know what to do. That's another thing I've been thinking about recently, is like, what can I do to help the situation? And the only thing I can keeps coming back is just keep playing. Keep writing, recording, and releasing music. That's all I think I can do. And I'm just going to keep recording EPs and albums. You know, because the single thing needs to die. I think we really do need to get back to albums. I think people need to get back to listening to albums instead of just singular songs that just kind of fly by night and don't stand the test of time. You know, anyway, be this video for what it may, PeopleTube. I just wanted to bring it up, and like I say, I want to know your opinion. So let me know in the comment section below what you think, and yeah, I'm just scared more than anything for music, and because music is my life and my job and my passion and my love, it's hard to swallow where it's going. You know, it's really difficult to just kind of accept it and go, okay, and I'm not going to do that. I don't know what I can do because I don't have any power. Because I feel like I'm in the minority. I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong on this one, PeopleTube, but just let me know what you think as well. So I feel like I'm a minority person, where like I'm the person who takes music extremely seriously, and I feel that that's a minority of people these days, which is horrific. Horrific. What a horrific thought. You know, music means everything to me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it. Without these things, I wouldn't be here talking to you now. It's as simple as that. And it is as simple as that. These literally saved my life. Music saved my life. I wouldn't be here without it. I wouldn't be living the life I've got now without it. So to have it cheapened and to be cut down, no. But what can I do about it? I don't know. And that breaks my heart even more. Because I don't know what I can do, if I can do anything at all. The only thing, like I say, the only thing I can think of doing is just keep writing, recording, and releasing music as best as I can. You know, within my means and abilities, and obviously so I can still keep a living out of it. And I would just invite other musicians to do the same. Just keep pushing. Albums aren't dead. Albums are dead because people say they are. They've said the guitar's dead a million trillion times, and it's still here. You know, albums aren't dead. It's just the narrative right now, and it fits the narrative right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Anyway, rant over, PeopleTube. I'm going to let you get off. Let me know your thoughts on this though in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you again for another video very soon. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and yeah, goodbye now. Thank you much indeed for watching.